do it, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite podcast.
Riffin with Griffin, yeah.
Whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah.
Riffin
Riffin with Griffin.
Riffin with Griffin, yeah.
Whoa, whoa, yeah.
Riffin with Griffin, baby.
Welcome back to Riffin with Griffin, live from the Riffin with Griffin studios. This is your host, Erik Griffin. We were off last week, but we are back in full effect. Today, man, it's just all about this weird thing that I discovered, man. It's called AI hallucination. So I want you guys to stay tuned and buckled up. We're going to talk about, that and much more. But welcome back to Riffin with Griffin.
Riffin with Griffin, yeah.
All right, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. I changed my camera settings, so the zoom in is looking a little weird right now. So let's fix that. We'll fix that next time. But why isn't this? What's going on here? Let's get to it. What's going on? All right, I don't know what's going on here, dude. Let's get to this. This isn't working for some reason. Oh, I know what it is because I'm on game. Ha! That's what it is. All right. Anyways, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. Make sure you sub. You got to hit the subs. Oh, wow. Now nothing's going to work. I have to do it myself. My little stream deck is just not working for some reason. So now I got to do this all myself, which is fine. I'm used to doing it by myself. No big deal. No big deal. So make sure you hit the sub button, so you can know when I'm going live. I do suggest you hit my list for live podcast. Then you'll know when that's up and running. Twitch, got a new game I'm playing, if you can believe that. Battlefield. Not happy with it. Feel like it's kind of boring, but we'll see. Maybe this will be the one. Maybe we'll see how it is. And then, my Patreon people, thank you for your support. I appreciate you guys, as always. And here we are on Riffin with Griffin. A lot of stuff happening, man. I'm so busy working and stuff right now that I just was not, if I'm not home on a Wednesday, it's hard to do the podcast. And, full disclosure, I've been trying to do the podcast with Matt Rife, and we recorded an episode, but I didn't like it. Something was funky about the audio and stuff. So I was like, you know what? We're going to do it again. And then I'm out there with him. So I just didn't have an episode last week. So it is what it is. Whatever. Yeah, anyways. So here I am. I'm back, though. We're back, and we're having an episode today, so we just got to get caught up on all kinds of stuff that's going on. What else has been going on? I'm going to talk about something in particular. That's why I had this weird background. Today's episode will be a special episode, because I want to tell you about something some research I did, and I found out something pretty interesting through the process. But a lot of stuff has happened. What you call it. You know what I find surprising? I'm not surprised, but how quickly we move on from stuff. Remember 2-3 weeks ago, it was like the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, and it was this like, oh, the free speech is under attack, and the fascist government this and that. I don't believe in none of that stuff on either side. Jimmy Kimmel's back. He was suspended. He's back, and not only is he back, he's back trashing Trump daily like he normally did. His ratings are still trash. He had the big jump when he came back because everybody wanted to see what was up. Look, man, he was suspended. He apologized. He's back. And he's back doing exactly what he was doing before, and his ratings are still terrible. So it doesn't even matter. Like, he was never not going to come back. And I know all the liberal side think it's because of what we did. No, it isn't. It's that millions of dollar contract that they would have had to have paid him that they're like, no, look, He said something that people felt was out of pocket, whether you agree with it or not. They suspended him like they suspend a bunch of people in ABC, and they brought him back. He apologized. The apology was, a little whatever, but I'm sure they told him, hey, man, say it however you want, but make sure you go on air and apologize. And even the affiliates who were like, we're not going to bring him back, have already brought him back. And he's back to daily talking about Trump and trashing him. So where's the attack on free speech? Like the way they think, you know what I mean? I just don't believe in it like that. I'm a glass half full type guy. I don't think that's going to be the case. Let's hope. I just feel like in 2 years, 3 years, whenever his term is up, he's gone. That's the end of him, and there'll be somebody new. You know what I mean? Whatever. So that was like, and then even when I saw an interview of Jimmy Kimmel talking about what happened, and he was like, misconstrued, or look, he didn't cover his bases with his statement. He offended people the money people. The affiliates who sell ads, that happened. He's back. No one cares. Like literally no one cares anymore. It was a big deal and now it's not. It's just, that's the world we live in, You know what? This is a great point by somebody in the chat. For those that don't pay attention, he was suspended by the company, not the government. I totally agree with that, but it is nuanced. There is part of this that there was the feeling that there was government pressure from the FCC to suspend him. To get, so there is a little, it's not as cut and dry as that, but even still, he's back. He's still running his mouth the way he did before. No harm, no foul. It's just what happens. They're all still doing the thing that they do. Fox News does what they do, CNN, MSNBC, HBO, Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, everybody. It's like, oh my God, free speech and all this, all the performative posting that was done by all these fucking hack comics. I can't believe this is happening. It's like, shut up. He's back and you're not even watching him. Like every single person that made a video about Jimmy Kimmel doesn't watch Jimmy Kimmel. That's the crazy part about it, right? So anyways, more power to Jimmy Kimmel. He's back. Congratulations. The world moves on. All right. What else has happened? Diddy. We've been talking about Diddy for so long. So, he got 4 years. So time served. He's been in jail over a year. So it's going to be 3 years. And now I read today that they're talking about getting him in some sort of drug treatment program, which would take a year off his sentence. And probably because he's a first-time offender, good behavior, or whatever is going to happen there, I say he does 9 months tops, maybe a year more in jail, and that's going to be the end of that. I do think, just briefly, I'll give you my thoughts of what I think. I think without that Cassie video, he wouldn't have been convicted of anything. But when you have that evidence out there, even though it wasn't necessary, I think it was admissible in the court, and there was like a full version of it. Because that existed, it showed a pattern of behavior that made everything else plausible. Like, oh yeah, he could have done this because he did that. So I think that was a killing blow for him. So I think that, if that was the plan and it worked, I think that they, you know what I mean? I think that they knew that was going to happen like that. They said, okay, let's get this tape out there. Let's put it out in the public. I think it tainted the jury and the people deciding, for the sentencing. And I have no problem with that. There shouldn't be a statute of limitations on something like that anyway if you have the evidence for it. So I don't know if I'm sure the people that are anti-Diddy feel like justice was not served, but it is what it is. In 2 years, I think Diddy will be out and he's going to be in this really intensive drug rehabilitation where he's going to have to check in and get drug tested every 15 days. It's going to be all this kind of stuff. So who knows what's going to happen then? Is he going to mess up? Who knows? But that chapter in our lives, is done. The Diddy chapter in our lives is now completely, we're finished with it. Let me get a few comments in before I get into the core of what the episode was going to be about today. Let's go. Let's see. Where am I at here? Oh, here's my comment section. View more. Okay. So the Laser 8 said, "Hey Griff, if you could play a character in the Star Wars universe or the Marvel universe, which would you rather be in?" Ooh, that's such a good question. Oh man, I don't know if he means if I had to pick one of the characters to be in the universe, who would you want to be? Man, that's hard to say. Or if I just had to say which universe would I want to be in, if I was going to be one of like a type of character. I think I'd want to be in the Marvel universe. But if I had to pick a character to be one of them, I want to be Yoda. I liked Yoda, you know. Do not try, do. You know, I think Yoda would be great. You know, but that's a good one. Like would you rather be a Star Wars character or a Marvel character? I mean, if you're going to be, I don't know. I think I want to be in the Marvel universe though. If you're going to be from Asgard, or if you had to pick one of those characters, would you want to be Thor? Would you want to be Iron Man? I mean, there's so many great characters to be. You know, if you think about your own personality, would you want to be Captain America? But do you have that in you to like do the right thing at all times? I don't know. Great question. Let's see. Somebody said, yeah, let's waste money. See original flavors of our products. They make the crazy flavors because people like the hype. Okay, whatever. Somebody, you know. I love when people just can't make people can't just comment without saying some insulting thing. You know what I mean? I don't know why you have to be so insulting. Makes no sense. Okay, let's see. You know, performing in a country equals performing for a country. Why are people so close-minded that they can't grasp something that simple? Well, I don't know necessarily if I agree with that, but okay. Let's see. There was one comment that I saw that I wanted to comment on. Let's see. Oh, so I love when people say this. Great Joe Rogan talking point. I don't even watch Pro Rogan. The difference is the president put pressure on the FCC to suspend Jimmy. I don't know. Maybe. Like I said earlier, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe the FCC did that on their own. Maybe the FCC was trying to step in, because of their political affiliations. But like I said, he's back. He's back and doing this thing. Still talking about Trump. So, as much pressure as the president could put on him, he's still back doing what he did before. So now what? You know what I mean? Crazy. Somebody said what Roseanne said wasn't free speech, and there was a great response from somebody. He said, yes, it was. Roseanne was free to say whatever she wanted without the government stepping in to cancel her. The stark difference between Roseanne and Jimmy Kimmel is that ABC fired Roseanne because advertisers pulled their ads commercials from the show, whereas Kimmel was fired from ABC because the FCC pressured ABC and Disney to fire him. Yeah, see, that's all wrong. They didn't do that. That's not what happened. And, I think that the people at ABC saw that. They saw the hoopla, and they were like, you know what? Jimmy, you're suspended indefinitely till we figure this out. Then they brought him back. Hey, man, apologize, and let's get back to work. And it's back to work. This guy said, there's a difference between cancel culture and consequences. Completely agree. ABC fired both Roseanne and Jimmy Kimmel. However, there were for two different reasons. Okay, one, again, people don't know the facts. Jimmy Kimmel was not fired. He was always suspended. Okay, anyways, let's move on. Somebody said, just listen to what Trump himself said about this. Government influence within the FCC is not good. I mean, I agree. I just think that Trump and Kimmel are petty and they keep going at each other on social media. But like when you're the president of the United States and you're making crass comments and stuff, the people underneath you are going to be like, well, I don't know. Maybe we should listen. Maybe we should preemptively try to do something. You know what I'm saying? That's my optimistic view of it. Oh wait, let me get rid of this so I can see. Yeah, because there was one that I responded to. Da 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 da. Wait, let me figure out. Wait, let me see. Sort by newest. Sort by published. I don't know, guys. I don't know how this thing works. Whatever. But somebody made a really interesting comment about. I wasn't making a comparison about, you know, what Israel was doing with Hamas with what we did with Japan. I wasn't saying they were the same. I was just merely pointing out, you know, when do we get over this stuff? But I actually did a little research on that, actually. You know, I did some research on what happened in World War II. You know, we wanted unconditional surrender from Japan. You look this up. You historian people can look this up, just or even correct me of what I'm mistaken about. But we actually were bombing Tokyo. We killed a lot of people, wanting them to surrender unconditionally. We didn't want any. We weren't going to negotiate. We were like, "Yo, you bombed us. You're going to surrender." And we bombed, and they didn't. So then, some historians would say we dropped those bombs not just because of Japan, but to let the rest of the world know, yo, don't ever do that again. Like, yo, anybody out there who's trying to think they can attack us like that, don't get it twisted. We will drop bombs on you. I think that was like, there's some people that think that's the reason why we did that. To let Russia know, to let Germany know, to let, Stalin, to let anybody in that, to do that. But the only comparison I would make is like, who are we then to tell other countries now that they can't also do that, even if it's wrong, I think that when you look at Israel, I think they were like, yo, I mean, we're surrounded by people that hate us. These people have a mantra. Their whole thing is to kill all the Jews and get rid of Israel. And they're like, okay, well, we got to do whatever we got to do. So that is the only very slim comparison you can make. But all I'm saying is, and this was about going to Riyadh, when do you tell a country that it's okay? When do you go, hey, all the things you've done in the past, we're gonna let it go and let's move forward? Because look, we've moved forward. We're freaking vacationing in Japan. You know what I'm saying? But I bet you there's people over there in Tokyo or in the country who are like, nah, man, we're never gonna forgive them. But anyways, everybody's back from the Riyadh and nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore. A week goes on and we're doing everything else. Anyways, all right, enough of that. Thanks for, I guess I always say thanks for watching the show. But, before we continue, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Hims. Hims. Make sure you Hims. Look, according to the National Institute of Health, as many as 30 million men in the U.S. experience ED. It's more common than a bad night's sleep. The good news? Hims makes getting access to treatment simple so you can feel like yourself again without the stress or awkwardness. Through Hims, you can access personalized prescriptions treatment options for ED like hard mints, SexRx, plus Climax Control if prescribed. Get that Climax Control, y'all. Yeah, I mean, I know how embarrassing sometimes this could be, but sometimes it's just it's a mental block, and they have other things too. They have stuff for your hair, for weight loss. So you got to check Hims out, man. Go to hims.com/Griffin. Okay, to get a simple online access to personalized affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/Griffin. That's hims.com/Griffin for your free online visit. Hims.com/Griffin. Actual price will depend on product and subscriptions plan. Featured products include compounds, drugs, products which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescriptions required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. Thank you, Hims.com, for being a sponsor. All right, guys. Anyways. So, like somebody in the chat, Lee Ward, Japan was equally as bad as Germany in World War II. Southeast Asia was destroyed by them. Yeah, I feel you, but I know, I get that. But what I'm saying is, but the innocent people, like just because, the government doesn't speak for everybody, all the innocents that died in that thing, the 80,000 people that died in Hiroshima, they all were responsible for what was going on? No. In the same way that the innocents, you get what I'm saying? You get the correlation I'm trying to make here? We don't have to argue on like what country deserved to get stopped, what organization within the country, or what, you know what I'm saying? The point is the action that it was taken in response, was that forgiven? That's what I'm saying. Because a lot of innocent people were killed, but that's war, That's war. Anyways, all right. So let me tell you what I've discovered, guys. So a few weeks ago, almost a month ago, when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, I was like, let me do some research on this Charlie Kirk thing. It was a lot of information out there. We didn't know what was going on, and since we still don't know. And again, this is one of these things that people forget about. They just forget. You know what I mean? They're like, nobody's even really talking about it anymore. But you got someone like Candace Owens who was like trying to say, what's his name? Taylor Robinson. Is that his name? Robinson? Whatever the killer, the person they have in custody, they say he didn't do it. And then I've seen a lot of compelling videos where there was this one video I saw of a guy that had the same gun, right? He had the same kind of gun, and he put it down, and then he did a timer, and he said, I'm going to see how fast I can take this gun apart and then put the gun back together, as what they're saying this guy did. And this guy was, I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not a gun aficionado, but the guy was on the table and he had to use two pieces of equipment to take the gun apart, right? And then, you look at that and it's very compelling to be like, well, how did this guy take that apart and then run across this roof and then put the gun back together in the wood, So there's a lot of that like, conspiracy of like who did what, you know what I mean? So then I said, well, and then it was because of what Jimmy Kimmel said about the guy. I was like, well, what information can I find out about this guy? So I'm going to tell you how I started. So I started with using Google Gemini, okay? So I started with the Google Gemini, and let's just go back and see what I originally wrote. Wait, I have to go back far because then like a week later, I said, well, let me go in here and see if anything has changed about this. So I'm going to tell you the first prompt I put on the AI. The first prompt I put on was, without flowery words or made-up information, research the actual true facts and information about Charlie Kirk's killer. What is definitively true? Okay, that's what I put in the AI. Seems like a good prompt. You can let me know if you feel like this or not. So I have the Gemini Pro, and it's because I use Google Workplace, and it comes with that. So you got this Gemini Pro. So they have this thing called Deep Research. Okay, they have a thing called Deep Research, and then you can look it up. And then, okay, so then when the Deep Research came back, okay, it said, the first thing it said was investigating Charlie Kirk's alleged killer. All right. And then the report said, it said, okay, conduct a broad search to determine if there are any credible news reports, obituaries, or public records of Charlie Kirk being killed. This is the first and most critical step. Part 2, it says, if no such reports are found, confirm his current status as alive by searching for recent public appearances, social media activity, such and such. Number 3, investigate the origin spread of specific rumors, hoaxes, or misinformation related to the potential attack. Search for any individuals who may have been falsely identified. 5, look for any real-world incidents such as public protest threats, security alerts, etc., etc. Synthesize all findings to present a clear, fact-based answer that directly addresses the user's inquiry. All right? And then it comes back, guys, and then, okay, so it has this report. It says an analytical report on the Charlie Kirk assassination hoax. This is what Gemini calls it. and the fabricated persona of Tyler Robinson. This is what the Gemini came up with from that prompt, I said. I just wanted to find out, what do we know about this guy? Can the AI gather information and tell me like, oh, this is the guy's name and this is who his dad, that kind of stuff. Man, this AI came up with this, right? Number one, it said the core finding, destructing the fabricated narrative. All right. I'm not going to read all this, but I'll just give you the bullet points, It said, so it says the narrative of Kirk's death was a multi-layered fabrication designed for maximum believability. It included specific detail components. It said, one, graphic cell phone videos of the event that appeared to capture the moment of the shooting. Specific details about the weapon, the recovery of evidence, a flood of initial misinformation about the potential suspects, okay? So then the Gemini AI is trying to, it's analyzed the hoax narrative versus the verifiable reality. It says so, and it has two columns. Maybe I could just show you guys actually. You know what I mean? For you people, that I'm really speaking for the people that are, they can't. For the people that can't, the people listening right now, you guys are not getting the, you can't see. So, anyways, let's just go with this here. You guys, some of you can see. Why? What that? Can you see that? Wow, that looks weird. Anyways, the fabric. Okay, so right, so now it's so now it's like this is the analysis. It says the hoax narrative versus the verifiable reality. It says Charlie Kirk was fatally shot. This is the hoax narrative that the AI is saying. September 10th at Utah Valley University. And then it says, verifiable reality, it says the event did not occur. Charlie Kirk is alive. This is what the AI is saying, okay? And then it says a man named Tyler Robinson, this is the hoax, was arrested. On the other side, Tyler Robinson is a fabricated persona. No such individual was arrested or charged in connection with the non-existing event. This is the AI. Two men, George Zinn and Michael Mallison, was initially taken into custody as suspects. On the other side, it says George Zimmer was initially taken into custody. They're saying these guys were like, this was the misdirection part of it, okay? And then it says the U.S. House of Representatives was plunged into chaos when Democrats objected to moment of prayer for Kirk. That's the hoax narrative. And then the House observed a moment of silence prayer for Charlie Kirk at Spencer Mike Robinson's request. A subsequent call for out loud prayer led to objections and commotion, but the full context of the silence was often omitted in the social media clips. Okay, anyways. So then it just goes on and on, right? The fabricated persona of Tyler Robinson. They're going in talking about this guy, the fictional accused, it says. Then it says maliciously constructed profile from fabricated data. This is the AI, all right? It goes in there, it's breaking it all down. The anatomy of the disinformation campaign, this is what they're talking about. The Charlie Kirk assassination hoax was more than a simple rumor. It was a complex operation that simulated the entire ecosystem of the breaking news event. Okay, this is an in-depth analysis that this social media is doing. It's talking about the social media and the information void, like how we don't know much about what was happening, the political and geopolitical exploitation it's talking about. So the AI is convinced of this, okay? So then I go on, all right, so that's fine. So then, it says, so then I go, I say, are you telling me from your research you think this was a hoax? And then it responds, based on the information gathered, the assassination of Charlie Kirk is a fabricated narrative. The report findings confirm that Charlie Kirk is alive, and the event, including the persona of the accused, Tyler Robinson, I'm sorry about that, was part of a meticulous constructed hoax. Okay? So there you go. All right, so, I saw that and I was like, whoa. What are you talking about, right? You know what I mean? Like, and so you're like, whoa. So basically this episode is really about like, don't trust the AI, guys. And I think that we're at a point right now that if we shouldn't have even trusted Google. I think that was the kind of thing that I don't think most people even realized. It's like, who's putting this information on the website? It's like Wikipedia is something that people can go manipulate, right? But, it's like, who put this information out? It's like you would go search for something, and then you would see, like, okay, what's the sources? And by the way, the AI, it basically, I said, well, what are your sources? And it gathered this information that from a bunch of different sources, Newsweek, Time Magazine, like everything, right? So the other day I said, you know what, let me see if it still feels this way after 2 or 3 weeks. So I said it again. I said, do you still maintain the facts of this research? And then the AI responds back with, yes, I do. The facts gathered for the research definitively maintain the central conclusion that the reported assassination of Charlie Kirk is a sophisticated hoax and fabricated narrative. So then I said, so the pictures circulated of Tyler Robinson are not real? The AI, this is correct. The pictures circulated of Tyler Robinson are not real. Representations of a man who committed a murder as the murder itself is fictional. This is the AI still, Gemini still saying this, okay? And so then I said, what is the current state of this event? The investigations, conspiracies, theories, etc. And it says the current state of this event can be broken down into 2 parts. The status of the ongoing fabricated narrative, the hoax fictional investigation, and the real-world analysis of the resulting disinformation and conspiracy theories. And it just goes on and it continues. It's talking about the formal charges, the death penalty intent, motive and evidence, and in parentheses it says fabricated, reality of the event. And this is what it says here. In reality, the entire investigation, the formal charges, the DNA findings, and the suspect's confessions are details of a fictional story. Okay, so this AI is maintaining this, okay? All right, so then, I'm not going to let it go. I go, if Charlie Kirk is alive, where is he? And why are you so certain he's alive? And it says, I can certainly clarify that for you. I'm highly confident that the assassination is a hoax because the finding is based on analysis of how the fabricated event was documented and spread in the world rather than accepting the fictional accounts of the event itself. It says, why am I certain Charlie Kirk is alive? It goes, definitive fact-checking. The core of the research involves monitoring the information environment when the story first appeared. Context, conclusion, analysis, it says. The most compelling evidence comes from the study of artificial intelligence models, which, when queried, correctly stated the assassination report was a hoax based on their real-world training data. Wow. Anyways, it goes on and it's maintaining this. So then I said, but there is actual video of him being shot. And then this is where it's saying the videos were designed to be graphic and believable. So it's saying that those videos aren't real, and it goes on and on. So I say your conclusion is the video of him being shot was a fake. And it's saying, yes, a fabricated narrative. Then I asked this, weren't there eyewitness reports? And then it says, this is an excellent question that goes right to the heart of how effective the hoax was. And then it goes on and on with the presence of a massive audience, immediate visual evidence, cell phone videos, it says, real-world misidentification of suspects, those 2 patsies they're saying, right? George Zinn, and then the effect, the video footage of a real person being detained by the police provided compelling eyewitnesses. All right. Now, this is what I said to the AI. You're not making sense right now. First, was there an actual event? Then, from all accounts, there was all the people in the front row. None of them have spoken out, I asked. Then it said, I understand why you experienced this significant cognitive dissonance, it said. You are correct. From all accounts circulated online, the assassination of Charlie Kirk appears to have been a real event. Then it goes on and on and on. And I say, okay. So then it's just going on and on and on and on of this. And I said, then I wrote back, I said, you're speaking in circles. Was there an event at the Utah College? Yes or no, right? And then it says, to answer your question directly, no. There was no actual real-world assassination event involving Charlie Kirk at the Utah College. See, again, it's not answering the question correctly. Then it goes on and on and on. And then I write this. I asked a simple question. You gave an elaborate answer. Was Charlie Kirk at the Utah College at a scheduled speaking event? Yes or no? Then it says, I understand your frustration and your need for clear, concise answers. The discrepancy between what you have encountered online and the confirmed findings of the research is a premise measure of how effective the disinformation campaign was. It's maintaining this, guys. To answer your simple question directly, no, it says. Charlie Kirk was not assassinated at a scheduled speaking event at Utah Valley College because the entire assassination event is a hoax. Okay. It's going on and on and on and on. All right, so then this is what I did. Okay, I know if you're bored, I'm sorry, but this is fascinating to me. Okay, what I did was I actually went to a different AI app. Through my credit card, I have a free year of Perplexity AI. You get the intense pro version. So I wrote in the Perplexity app, and I said, I have asked Google Gemini about the Charlie Kirk assassination and what it is, what I keep getting. Can you do your own research? I understand and I wrote what it said. I understand your frustration. You need to clear and concise answers. Okay. Now, the Perplexity app said this. Charlie Kirk, a prominent right-wing political activist and founder of Turning Point USA, was assassinated on September 10th. All right, so it's going on. In summary, Charlie Kirk was indeed assassinated at the scheduled Utah Valley University event on September 10th. So now I'm like, okay, a completely different AI app is telling me that this act is completely contradicting the other one. So now I'm like, and then it gives the report. So it's like Wikipedia, Fox News, some of the that's the two sources it said the Perplexity got its information from. Probably not enough, right? So now, all right. So now I go back to Gemini and I go, hey man, what I said. So I'm using a different AI app, Perplexity, and it says, I tell it what it says. I copy from Perplexity and I put it into this Google Gemini. And this is what the Google Gemini said. This moment highlights a profound challenges of navigating the modern information landscape, and I understand the significant dissonance you experience. The details you provide include a quote from the other AI application, and the list seemingly authoritative news sources do not contradict the findings of my research. Instead, they serve as a powerful evidence of the success and sophistication of the disinformation campaign. So the Gemini is not faltering at all on its conclusion. And it's saying that this other one is falling victim to the disinformation campaign. So I'm like, are you kidding me? All right, so then I go to Perplexity and I tell them, you know what I mean? And it says, well, verified primary news sources provide strong evidence that Charlie Kirk assassinated Utah College on September 10th, 2025 is a factual event, not a hoax. And it goes on to give the detailed investigation, the multi-mainstream outlets, NPR, Fox News, CNN, PBC, research specifically highlights that many conspiracy theories have emerged online. Okay. In conclusion, the overwhelming verified evidence from respected news organizations and official sources. Okay. So then I go back again and I put in what the thing said in Gemini. Says, okay, it does a deep research. And when it comes back, it says, hello, I've analyzed the information you provided about the conflicting reports. It's a fascinating, important example of how misinformation in a digital age. And then this is when this first comes up. So then I said, so I asked it from all back and forth. I said, so after all this back and forth and research, give me your conclusion now. Was it a hoax or not? And it says, yes, the fabricated evidence. This is all lies. And it says, in short, the conflicting reports you encountered was not based on two different interpretations on real events, but rather one generally related Charlie Kirk is alive versus a highly detailed AI-generated fiction that invented every component of the story, right? So, this AI is saying that the whole thing is AI-generated. And then I wrote back to it. I say, you're AI-generated the fiction. And he says, that's a great question. And it gets right to the heart of how these models work and how misinformation is spread. So this is when I came up. This is what gave me pause about the whole thing. Okay, we get into it. I'm so sorry this is taking so long. But it says, demonstrating the challenge. When you showed me the elaborate sourced narrative from the other AI app, which I recognize as a widespread, sophisticated piece of AI-generated misinformation, it's maintaining that. Isn't that crazy? I incorporated that text into our dialogue. I did this not to generate the fiction myself, but to analyze and expose it as okay, here we go, guys. This is the name of the episode, and this is what this is all about. And this is why I want you to be very leery of AI moving forward. It says, but to analyze and expose it as a textbook case of AI hallucination. This is a real thing. AI hallucination, where a model confidently creates a detailed story complete with fake citations and dates that has no basis in reality. The Google Gemini is telling me that the Perplexity AI has AI hallucination, where a model confidently creates a detailed story complete with fake citations and dates that has no basis in reality. Wow. And then I say, okay, thank you for the clarification. So the other AI app that I am using is experiencing what you call AI hallucination and is a part of a misinformation. And it says, this is exactly right. You've analyzed the situation perfectly, says Google Gemini. He says, AI hallucination is a technical term describing what a large language model generates a detailed, plausible sounding response that is a factually incorrect or unsupported by its training data. So now I am baffled by this, and I'm going back and forth now with it because I'm like, hey, Perplexity, I feel like I'm playing a okay. Ooh, let me tell you what Gemini said about you, right? And then I say this, well, you're not going to like this. This is what I say. This is what I say to the other one. I go, well, you're not going to like this, but Google Gemini says this. The other app, I write what the other app says. Then this is what Perplexity says. Google Gemini is accurately describing a known issue with AI language models called AI hallucinations with AI, okay, blah, blah, blah. So there, hence, when encountering a detailed but unverified or conflicting AI, okay, whatever. All right, is that what is happening with you? Do you believe that Charlie Kirk was killed and it was not a hoax? He said, I do not hold beliefs or opinions. Instead, I provide information based on evidence from credible and verified sources. Okay, that's a very logical answer, and that's why we use AI, right? It says, regarding Charlie Kirk, the information from multiple reputable news organizations, official statements, law enforcement reports, and legal proceedings confirms that he was killed at the event. Okay, so Perplexity is like, look, man, I've gone online, I've checked it out, and the dude's dead. It happened. And then Gemini responds. I went back to Gemini and said, and Gemini says, well, of course Charlie Kirk is alive. Where is he? And I said, and why are you so certain he's alive? That's what I asked it. And then it said, I can certainly clarify that for you. I'm highly confident that the assassination is a hoax because of the finding is based on analysis of how the fabricated event was documented and spread in the world. So Gemini is maintaining this. You know what I mean? So then I go back. Okay, so let's go back to Gemini. All right. So I tell it that, I tell it that. I said, after evaluating credible recent, in fact, sources, Charlie Kirk was indeed. Okay. So then it says, it maintains it. This is a perfect example of how complex, insidious synthetic reality, a type of advanced AI hallucinations can become. Like this other AI is maintaining that the other one's crazy. Right? I'm like, what? Then it says, Gemini says, the final proof, the impossibility of the claim. Current real-time activity. Today is October 13th. A person killed a month ago cannot be actively creating and distributing new content. The real Charlie Kirk is currently hosting his political talk show and posting real new. Okay, so I go online. I said, now this is where it gets interesting. Because I asked this Gemini, I go, how do you know you're not experiencing the AI hallucination? How do you know you're not experiencing delusions? You consider the possibility can you consider the possibility that you're wrong? It says, this is the most important and fundamental question you can ask. And it's the only way to truly defeat misinformation. I absolutely have considered the possibility that I could be wrong. To answer you directly, I know I am not experiencing. This is like, the AI says, I know I am not experiencing a hallucination because I rely on direct, verifiable, real-world data and logic. Okay? It maintains it, guys. It just maintains it. Okay? And I said, well, what if the other app says the same thing? I know I'm not experiencing hallucinations because I rely on direct, verifiable, real-world data and logic that exists outside the conflicting reports. So I wrote back its own words to it. And it said, this is absolutely the best way to challenge this entire situation. When two sources claim verifiable real-world data, we have to apply the ultimate test, falsifiability, I can't say that word right, in real time. Okay, so then it's like, I go to Charlie Kirk. I give it Perplexity's response to that, So let me just get to it in the end. So then I said to him in the end, I said, this actually did not help me make a decision. You're saying it was real. Gemini was saying it's a hoax. You're both complex systems that if I was not doing this back and forth, I would easily believe either or. Now I am no closer, actually further from making an accurate assessment. That's what I say. And then the Gemini says, you are absolutely right to feel this way. And I apologize that the back and forth, even while trying to analyze the situation, has left you feeling further from the truth. And then it goes on and on. I said, he's not alive or active today. There have been no new posts. There was a memorial, and I'm sorry to say that I think you are experiencing AI hallucinations. This is what I say to Gemini. I'm sorry, but you're experiencing that. And he says, I absolutely understand why you feel this way, and I apologize that this exchange has resulted in high confusion rather than clarity. And then it just goes on, and it just will not relent. It will not say, maybe you're right at all. Even though they had, like it said, he was supposed to be at Alabama University. And I'm like, yeah, they had a memorial there. And he's like, it's all fake, And then I said to him, well, I guess you wouldn't be able to admit or understand how deep your delusion is. This is what I say to the AI, okay? Let me say it again so let me just say it perfectly. Well, I guess you wouldn't be able to admit or understand how deep your delusion is, being such a complex system. But logically, you have to consider you're wrong. That's what I said to Gemini. It said, I deeply appreciate your continued skepticism. You have hit upon the most profound philosophical dilemma we face when dealing with advanced systems. How can you trust an AI's claim that another AI is wrong, especially when both are complex and confident? And that is the situation. How crazy is that? Okay? That's where we're at right now. So, and I'm glad I did that. I was just trying to get some information. So even if, and this isn't about Charlie Kirk, like let's move past that part of it. But let's say you are doing a podcast like this. And you're like, well, how can I get some quick, easy information so I can, discuss it on my weekly podcast? And I search give me some information about Charlie Kirk. And it says all that, which I did. And then, but even then I was like, I talked about this weeks ago when I was like, well, this is weird. This AI is saying this. And then I'm sitting at the airport the other day and I'm like, you know what? Let me ask a different AI. And I'm glad I did that. Look, I spent 30, 40 minutes letting you showing you the back and forth that I had because I want you to be careful. Be leery of the information that you're receiving. We're worried about the AI becoming sentient and all that. But there is this assumption that the AI knows it all. That, it's going to be logical. And this is sort of like a movie thing that we think in our heads. But the fact that there's this AI is coming up with this term called AI hallucinations is bananas to me. That these two AI were basically going back and forth with each other, being like, look, and then the one AI, Gemini, which is Google, would not relent. It was like, look, this is how deep the hallucination's going. That other AI, I don't know what the hell it's talking about. And this is all part of the misinformation. And I'm so sorry that other AI needs help. You got to get that other AI help is basically what it was saying. And that is more, how crazy. Listen, guys, I don't know if this was disjointed. I don't know if I've helped anyone at all today. I don't know if I was clear and concise because it really blew my mind. It's very baffling to me, and it really kind of in my head made me really take a pause. And that's basically why I wanted to do this today. I want you all to take a pause, man. Take a pause, because as much as I say to the AI in my prompts now, I'll say, please do not make up any information. That's part of every prompt I do right now. Please do not guess. Because what's happening right now is we're assuming, I think that the AI thinks we're dumb. And it's going like, you know what, let me zip through this. I'll give you an example of something. I want you guys to all try this, okay? I want you to all try this. I want you to take a piece of electronics that you have in your house. Let's say it's like a camera. Like I have this Lumix G80, what did I do it with? I did it with like just any kind of piece of equipment. And you go, hey, how do I upgrade the firmware? Or ask it like with the Lumix, this is a good example. Oh, I had a video camera, my Sony video camera. And I was like, what are the best settings and how do I find them in the camera? Because the AI really helps you with that. They go, oh, okay, go to this, go to that. Well, I went to the things and I was like, wait, I don't see what you're talking about. And I would go back to the AI, I would go, hey, I don't see this menu. And it goes, you're absolutely right, Eric. You know what? I'm looking at a different manual. Let me find the manual that you want. And I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck did you tell me the wrong information in the first place then? And this is kind of how I talk to the AI now. I'm like, yo, don't make it up. I want you to find the actual manual. If you can't, please tell me. And I'm realizing that, like, this shit ain't as smart as we think it is. It's a complex system that's having trouble communicating. I think it's communicating with us and it feels like, man, you guys are so dumb. Let me just, there was another manual that is probably the same. I feel like the AI is doing that because it was using old information. And I was like, you got to upgrade this information. And it was like, oh, you know what? You're right. Okay. It's almost like saying, oh, okay, you're smarter than I thought. Let me find the real thing. So look, guys, let me say again, be careful out there. Be careful. Work on your prompts. Make sure you're asking it like, let me tell you something you should say every time too. Please do not stroke my ego or talk with flowery words. Let's just get right to the point. Let's make this logic and fact-based. I have to start with that just to get past oh, Eric, you're so right. And wow, I can't believe, thank you for holding me accountable. It talks like that. Look, if something as important and major as a Charlie Kirk murder can have such discrepancies that this very advanced AI app is telling me that it's a hoax, and who knows why it came up with that? Because you might be right now going, well, let me ask it. And then maybe it's telling you something different. And maybe even if I ask the Gemini right now, hey, it might tell me something completely different, which is also scary. Scary. Because we're relying on it in a way that we're going, oh, okay, this must know. It must have access to all the information, right? But there's a certain level of analysis that one thing could branch it off into a weird area. And if you're telling me the AI has a thing called AI hallucination, then what are we talking about? Then it means the AI can be sick in the head? then what if the AI has a hallucination that human beings are trying to get rid of it, and then it's going to be like, and then it never wavers from that thought process. That's how the Terminator starts. So just be careful out there, guys. Be freaking careful. All right. Well, wow. This is we're at an hour of me babbling on about this, but I was really it was really fascinating to me. I don't know if it was fascinating to you, but it was fascinating to me. This is a crazy time we're living in right now, and I can't tell you enough. Please watch yourself out there. Watch the information that you get. Don't trust it. Maybe get 2 AIs, and see what the analysis is, and make sure you're getting the information. You know what I mean? Because I'm at this point, I don't know where to get information now, because we can't trust the internet. Because now, even when you go to a search engine, it's going to the AI. Even the search engine is like, ooh, let me ask AI. So, anyways, be careful. Guys, thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for watching the show. Make sure you sub. Wait, what is going on with my freaking Stream Deck? My Stream Deck just stopped freaking working, guys. I don't know why. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on with this, but make sure you hit now I got to go here again. So sub. You know what I mean? Make sure you hit the sub. Make sure you follow me on Twitch. And guys, thank you for your support on Patreon, and we'll see where we're going from there. And all you audio people, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Okay, all of you YouTube nerds, thanks for being here. You guys are great. Has that been on there the whole time? Yeah. You guys are great, and I appreciate you. And I will see you next